ditch their Teslas, dump their Tesla stock, and hurt Elon Musk the best way that we can.
Each T removed off a Tesla feels like a silent protest.
Do you find yourself giving preemptive disclaimers about your car?
I bought it 5 years ago.
Let's talk about buying a Tesla in 2025. So PJ and I have both been driving EVs for over 10 years now, and today we're going to talk about vandalism, resale values, full self-driving, and even those new tariffs. Let's break it down. Used Teslas are super affordable right now, plus Tesla's been slashing prices on the Cybertruck and the new Model Y, and PJ and I have been out there test driving all kinds of new EVs. So what do you think, PJ? Do you buy a Tesla in 2025?
So honestly, when you think about it, when it comes to drama around Teslas, it seems to be very location specific, right? So we're here in the South, we're in Georgia, and even an hour ago, I get a thumbs up on this, another person in the parking lot comes up, hey, is this the new Tesla? This is a beautiful Tesla. So I get this all the time where we grew up in the Northwest in Seattle, our family says the exact opposite. They, by the way, own Teslas as well, or even in the Northeastern US, there's a lot of drama, there's tire slashing, there's keying, there's fires, and you get a lot of this news. But when you look at the metrics, and they're not really very clear, there isn't readily available data on this, but the reports put it between 400 and 600 cases of vandalism for Teslas across the US the first half of the year or so. So you extrapolate that, let's say 1,200 cases for the whole year, you compare that to the national average of car vandalism cases of 700,000, this only accounts for about 0.17%. So is it more overblown? I'll tell you this, we've covered EVs for about a decade. This particular EV, Teslas in general, get the most attention. That also leads to all of this. And also the cameras on top get a lot of attention and get shared online as well, but maybe BMW, maybe Mercedes, they have a lot of cases too. They just don't get as widely publicized.
Yeah, so PJ's right. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Teslas have cameras on them and social media really hyped it up. Tesla has Sentry Cam on it, and this is basically like a built-in bodyguard. It has 360-degree cameras, it flashes lights, and the 2025 spring update added zoomable side cameras and a phone app to be able to check your footage fast. And we've actually seen owners use this footage in order to win lawsuits. How cool is that? We have to talk resale value because this is a big deal to a lot of people.
Yeah, Tesla specifically, and then Model Y even more specifically, is seeing some of the biggest depreciation of any car out there. So you look back at 2022, the price of a new Model Y was around $60,000. You can now, just 3 years later, get a used Model Y for about $30,000. Depreciation in other cars, generally between 30 to 40% in the first 3 to 5 years. The Model Y again takes the cake up there, and the Model 3 is behind it.
But I'm also old enough to remember when they were the least depreciating car a while back.
It's Tesla specific, not for the reasons you think. It's not because of evolving tech, not because of degradation. It's more because of Tesla's direct price cuts. They've had 5 price cuts since 2022. That certainly doesn't help. You remember there was a flood of EVs and Teslas onto the market when I think it was Hertz that kind of unloaded 30,000 of those Model 3s and Ys. That dropped prices as well, brought cheaper EVs into the market. And Tesla has the luxury of being able to control the prices themselves by having these all built in-house, all the parts, all of these manufactured in-house as well. So that allows them to bring prices down a lot more rapidly. So it hurts the buyer if you buy at the wrong time. And even in our case, for example, this car we got last month, the rate we got on this car was about 5% interest rate. Tesla just announced 1.99% on this car, again, a month after we get it. So the numbers are constantly varying, and as they do, Tesla owners get the biggest hit on that.
Yeah, but you can also find some really good deals if you are looking at buying the vehicle used because of all this. There's incredible deals out there on used cars. And there's also a reason why the Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, because it does offer incredible tech. It's a great vehicle, but again, you do have the possibility of losing a lot of that value when you buy it new and you buy it at that peak and you don't know when that peak is going to be. It's kind of like stock in a way.
Well, people that are not familiar with it always say, oh, it's because it's a tech car and tech constantly evolves and gets better. These cars almost entirely get better with the older ones. So it's the hardware. Of course, there are some sensors and cameras when it comes to full self-driving. Beyond that, everything else for your day-to-day use is evolving, whether you have a 2019, a 2022, or a 2025.
Now, if you compare Tesla to other EVs, is it much different? Is this something that we see across the board with all EVs depreciating in value?
Yeah, EVs in general definitely depreciate at a higher rate than gas cars, but you look at the next highest on that list behind the Model Y, and then I think it's the Model 3 on the second highest list of depreciation. It's the Bolt EUV and also the Nissan Leaf. They come in between 35 to 39% depreciation, Generally, that takes about 3 to 5 years for them to get there, where the Tesla in the last 3 years has already exceeded that with the 45 to 50% depreciation. So, and ICE cars, by the way, are there as well. They're about 35 to 40% as well. So it's more Tesla specific, and I think it has more to do with Tesla pricing constantly evolving.
Do you think the resale value is affected at all by the vandalism that we're seeing in certain parts of the country?
I think there's a lot more EVs and Teslas on the market as a result of it, because some people are, kind of pushed back by it and want to get rid of their Teslas. And if that's the case, yes, you get more on the market. That creates more opportunity for buyers and the prices drop as a result. Now, is Tesla seeing less sales and that's why they're introducing this whole 1.99% on the new Model Y? Possibly the case. We were just in China a couple of days ago, and I saw a lot of new Model Y. I saw a lot of Teslas in general on the roads, which we were kind of surprised because they have so many compelling non-Tesla EVs. They've got their own homegrown EVs. They're supporting the Tesla brand there, which was fascinating to us. And we talked to some locals who said they think because people see an American EV as kind of a luxury or a premium sort of optics associated with it. Which was fascinating to us, because here you see that with European brands and people wanting that.
There's certain brands when you go to different countries that maybe are not as popular in the US but are super popular over there because people think of them as being an American brand, and it has this luxury sort of lifestyle look to it. Tesla being that, I feel like, Victoria's Secret I see over there, Dunkin' Donuts, KFC, brands that are sort of like, I'm not really sure how Americans feel about them anymore. At one point, they were very popular.
Abercrombie and Fitch. I mean, these are things we see that are
They're
such
sort
a
of having a comeback, though. If you're looking into buying a car, there are so many different factors that can affect rates. For most people, having a strong credit is like a prerequisite for buying a new car. And that's why I love that I have partnered with Kickoff, because they have a hack for people with little to no credit. It's the #1 credit building app on the App Store, and it's been praised by Credit Karma and NerdWallet. It's one of the smartest ways to improve key credit factors and everything that comes with it. Here's how it works. You can sign up in minutes, no credit check, no interest, no hidden fees. They have affordable plans starting at $5 a month, and these are specifically designed to improve key credit factors. For example, you can easily turn on auto pay and then send on-time payments to Kickoff, and then these automatically get reported to all 3 credit bureaus to improve key credit factors. Kickoff users with credit under 600 that made on-time payments actually increased their credit by an average of 25 points in just the first month, and up to 84 points after the first year. Building credit can be life-changing. It impacts everything from the house you can buy to the car you can drive, and nobody should be held back by a number. Kickoff is giving my audience 80% off your first month. That's as low as $1 for your first month. I'll link everything you need to know down in the description below. And remember, when you use my links, you're also helping to support this channel. All right, let's get back to the video. Even with all these different price fluctuations, we have to talk about Tesla supercharging, because that's where I feel like they are in a complete league of their own. You plug in where you want to go into the navigation, and the car will tell you when to stop, how long to stop, where to go. It just navigates it. It makes it extremely easy. And most chargers get up to 250 kilowatts, so you can get 200 miles in about 15 minutes. So by the time your kids go to the bathroom, you grab a snack, your car is done, it's charged up and ready to go.
So yeah, most people that have been driving Teslas know this for a while now, but when it comes to superchargers, I believe there's 7,000 stations, over 65,000 stalls globally. The convenience of it, to me, that offsets any sort of depreciation that you get on the Tesla end. And also just the access to the supercharger port being so easy to facilitate with that kind of UI implementation that you said, whereas most other EVs have CCS ports, you need adapters, it becomes cumbersome, it's on the wrong side of the car.
There's an app that you have to go to. It's like a whole other thing. Also, when you go to plug it into navigation, it brings up all of the, like, Electrify America, all
Which
the
some of them are
stations.
faster. Some of them are 350 kilowatts.
True, but it's not about being fast. It's sometimes about being reliable. And we've had so many times where we've tried to road trip in other EVs and go to a different network, and the charger's broken, or there's one charger working and there's a huge line to get that one charger. And it kind of ruins that entire road trip experience when you're in that. I was in LA a few weeks ago, and I talked to a guy who had sold his Model 3 and picked up a Polestar. They had some really good deals. And he said that it took him an hour to find a charging station. And then we're talking LA.
One of the biggest EV markets,
Exactly. And he couldn't find a working CCS station that he could charge his Polestar at, and he got to the point where he thought he was just gonna, like, completely run out of range. And I hear these type of horror stories all the time, and I think that that is where Tesla really shines right now. And of course, there are other EVs that do have the native NACS built into them.
I think Ioniq 5, Ioniq 9, EV9 coming out this year will have that as well. I believe the Lucid Gravity does. So yeah, going over, end of 25 into 26, almost everyone will have that. But still in 2025, I think Tesla gives you a major advantage in so many of those native features, from the software implementation to the hardware itself.
Yeah, I think the software implementation, people don't give that enough of like value in that. But when you are used to driving a Tesla, or you get into one and you go to plan that road trip and how seamless it is, I mean, I can't stress enough like what a big difference that makes. And speaking of road trips, full self-driving makes a big difference when you are sitting in the car for a long time.
It's improved dramatically too, especially here in early 2025. It's picked up quite a bit of pace as far as how much better it is. I tried it here in the V4, this brand new Model Y. It's so much better even than our 2022 Model X. And it's so much so that I actually called my mom out on the West Coast. She drives a Model S, and I convinced her to try the subscription-based version, which is $99 a month, because I was like, hey, you're gonna love this. It works really well. It's not as scary as it was back in 21, 22, 23 when I was first having you try these out. She tried it. She didn't have the same experience as I did. So at least anecdotally, I see different experiences based on what markets you're trying it in. Of course, road conditions all play a role as well. It's $8,000 to buy it outright. So I think $99 a month makes more sense for people to try it out, get a good feel for it. It takes over 6 years to even get to $8,000. Subscription-based seems for now to be the way to go.
And it does seem to work better in the newer vehicles that have the V4 hardware as opposed to the V3. So again, that all plays into the resale value that we talked about too. At some point though, Tesla's talked about retrofitting cars with version 3 for people who had purchased full self-driving.
Yeah, we don't know exactly when the retrofit's coming. It's going to happen at some point. It's probably going to be kind of a service center visit. It's not something you can do over the air or be done in front of your house sort of a thing. But I know that robotaxis are around the corner as well.
Yeah, so I did get a chance to try out robotaxi at their event. And we've heard now for a while that in June, which is just a couple of days away, that they're going to have Cybercab driving around in Austin, Texas, fully operable. So I don't know if this is really happening or not. I guess we'll find out here shortly in just a couple of days if it really happens or not. But when it does happen, which I do believe is coming, it's going to be massive, because you could literally turn any car that you have, any Tesla that you have, into a Cybercab. So this means when you're at home, when you're at work, when you're not using your car, you could send it out to make money for you, which could help pay off the payments, could help with so many different things.
I mean, think about it this way: the depreciation concern, it becomes a moot point at this point, right? So that's kind of the long-term end goal when it comes to owning a Tesla or an advanced EV, is having that potential and being able to offset the payments to where it could become a workhorse. It can work for you. And for years we've tried the Waymo method. You've done the Cybercab. So for people that seem to think this is so far out, we know that given geofence approaches or other approaches, and with FSD in its current state, it's pretty close. So clearly it's ready for Austin. And if that's the case, it's a lot more here than people are giving it credit for.
And it may be something in the beginning, most likely it will, where there will be some kind of remote operator in the vehicle kind of monitoring everything, like how Waymo works. And I could see that happening in the beginning, but still the possibility of being able to do this, I think, is massive, and people underrate like what that will be like. And when you look at some of the stigma that is on Tesla right now, I think once all of these things start happening, people are going to forget. Yeah. People are going to be like, it's going to be so engrossed in your life and everything you're doing that people are going to forget, because they're going to be taking Teslas like Ubers.
Yeah, somebody asked you actually online yesterday. I loved your answer to this, because they asked, where are you with Tesla? Are you still high on Tesla? Because I've seen you do so many other videos of different EVs. And your response was brilliant, because you said it's really not about the EV sales moving forward. That might be the least valuable thing for Tesla long term. It's going to be autonomy, AI, robotics, and energy storage. That's really the key 4 players. And then EV sales come in 5th place in that area. And people are kind of so caught up on our sales numbers dropping as Tesla pushing these incentives, where we've kind of seen the other side of it and seen the potential value on the other side of it. And if that's how you see the brand long term, it may not be associated with cars. Cars are something people are like, whoa, wow, there was Teslas 30, 40 years ago that were being sold, because now Tesla's known for something else.
It's the entire ecosystem, and it really does all play into it. If you think about like Grok and AI and having that in your vehicle, and then how that plays in with X and XAI, and then the robot. It really is all going to be connected.
All right, let's talk money and see exactly how that kind of shapes up with Tesla versus other EVs or other cars in general. So when it comes to insurance, that is a difficult one because it does cost between $3,000 and $5,000 to insure a Tesla for a year. Ours is closer to $4,000, which is crazy to think that, where the average car, I think, is about $2,300 a year in the US to insure. So that there is variability there, of course, depends on the market as well. The Chevy Bolt, for example, the EUV, that insurance rate for that car generally ranges from $1,400 to $2,200 per year. So again, the Tesla or even an average car does come in higher. So the cheaper, smaller EVs in general, and honestly the base model cars too. If you want to get a better and least depreciation out of a Tesla, get a base model Tesla. They see the smallest depreciation naturally, but the higher end ones, performance models, they do see the biggest hit. And then there's repair costs. I think it's about $800 a year on average. We've been lucky on that front. We haven't really had a year where we've had repair costs of that much that insurance hasn't covered. But that's the average repair cost for a Tesla ownership, whereas it's about $650 a year for non-Teslas.
Yeah, and in Georgia where we live, we don't have the option to have Tesla insurance. That's another thing to think about. And then we do have a repair coming up with our Tesla Model X. We were actually in full self-driving and we drove over a piece of plywood. Again, we have version 3 versus version 4 and we don't have a front-facing camera.
Sure,
but I hear with version 4 and having a front-facing camera that this probably would not have happened. But again, we drove over a piece of plywood and it actually broke the wheel well. But they're gonna send mobile service to our house and repair it. So I will let you guys know. Probably right here, I'll snap on and tell you guys how much it was and how long it took to have it repaired. So Tesla just came over to our house and fixed it in about 30 minutes. Total cost was around $277 for everything. We have to talk tariffs because that is a hot topic right now. We know that there's a 25% tariff in the US on imported cars and parts, and Tesla does a good job of dodging this in the US because they build cars in California and Texas. Now, there are some other parts that come from other places, but for the most part, they're able to dodge it compared to other car makers. So we look at like GM and Ford and other cars that are built in Mexico, and it could add another $5,000 to $15,000 onto the price of cars.
That's going to be fascinating to see how that all plays out exactly. So all of those will have to be sourced in the US for the prices to stay low. So in the immediate future, Tesla gets an edge there. But the prices have varied for so many years now that, is this going to lean in the favor of Tesla? Because back in 2020, as I kind of referenced earlier in this video, there was a time where Tesla had the least depreciation. I think it was the Model 3 that had the least depreciation of any car out there on the road. So those variabilities, as Tesla's really been, focused on keeping this car as American made as possible, it's helped keep those costs in check in a sense as well.
Also, when you look at the $7,500 tax incentive, it looks like that will be going away for pretty much all EVs in the near future here. So if you are able to get that, I would recommend buying a car right now because you can still get it on a lot of EVs, but it's going away.
But to me, the implementation of all of this, the experience, the driving experience, the charging experience, the road tripping experience, the safety levels, the performance metrics, the efficiency, I can go on and on. All of this is well worth the depreciation because in those 5 years you're driving it, you're dealing with less crap with the car breaking down and having issues. And the software just keeps you happier as an owner because you constantly get improvements and features, big features that just weren't there when you first bought the car. So that's the price you're getting, I guess, with depreciation.
Yeah, but with that said, I do like to cover and see as many EVs as possible. We both go out and try to review as many, and I think that there are a lot of good options out there. So definitely make sure you guys are subscribed and go watch some of those videos if you are wanting to try something new, or maybe you do live in a certain part of the country or you feel a certain way. Go ahead, try something new. I have a feeling though that you'll kind of miss certain parts of Tesla and you might come back in the future. So should you buy a Tesla in 2025? I really think that that is a personal decision. I think that you should not be swayed by like social media and what you hear online and little memes and things like that. I think you should buy a car based on how you use it. Is this a commuter? Are you going on road trips? What do you need to your family? And you look at all those features and you look at how that works with your lifestyle and for you personally, and you make that choice. So hopefully this video helped you. Comment down below what you guys think. If you have any input, why you are buying one, why you're not buying one anymore. And also try to be kind because I know this is such a hot topic. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.